my friends. How you doing, Doc South? Huh? Yes, here with you. And so, how are you doing? I know. Hopefully, the COVID 19 situation is passing you by. Boy, I hope so. And and those you love and know, your friends and such. I was just thinking though about. Gosh, it had to be. Let me think. This is what 2020. So let's go back almost 44 years, somewhere into the mid 70s, right? Into the mid 70s. Would that be right? 25 and 20, yeah, 45 years ago. I remember at that time, I used to work, I used to call, I lived in Pennsylvania, and I used to call on boiler rooms and chiller rooms, to treat the water that's in the boiler or the water that might be in a cooling tower or an air moisturizing system. And I was at this one factory in central Pennsylvania. It was a knitting mill. And I believe what they did, they needed moisture in the room, in the main factory room, which was a big room, full of knitting machines and thread going everywhere, and everything had to be an exact not well temperature also, but especially moisture. There had to be a certain moisture content in the air. If you didn't have it, somehow the thread they were making, well, just might not form properly. Somehow the fibers that make up the thread would just wouldn't cling like they should, and you'd have crummy thread. You go to sew something and hey, button just fell off. Or worse than that, your pants fall apart when you're trying to, doing some fancy public speaking. Things could get rough. Stand there in your underwear, or not. Yeah. But I remember I was working on this machine this device, cooling tower, moisturizing machine that was sending vapor into the proper amount of vapor into water vapor into the mill. And I was sitting there. It was near lunchtime. I brought in my testing equipment. I'm working. Got my hands all in the water. This and that. And I said, I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to eat the sandwich the wife made for me. And I'm sitting there eating the sandwich. Never thought to wash my hands. And of course, I also I don't know. I didn't even have. I wouldn't have had face protection gear. I'm just sitting there next to a machine that makes vapor. What could happen? Well, I think that was on a Friday. Okay, that was maybe a Friday morning. And I'd say by about Saturday morning, or right about 9:30, I'm watching cartoons with Sunshine, and Burgess would have been about a year old. And all of a sudden, man, hey, and it happened almost that quick. All of a sudden, boy, I didn't feel good. I started aching. All the joints in my body started to hurt. Breathing was kind of tough. You could feel, if you feel into the lymph glands, they were kind of, like I had a basketball in my armpits, and up in here, yeah, and my head, oh my God, it was like my brain was trying to come out my ears. It felt like it had swollen to something like a beach ball. And I didn't feel good. And oh, did I have a fever. And muscle aches, oh my God. And it just got worse and worse. And this happened, pounced on me rather quickly, if I recall right. I went from feeling reasonably good to maybe a few hours later, honestly thinking I weren't long for this earth. And, my wife at that time, Molly, said, I'm taking you to the doctor. In fact, there were no doctors up where we lived. Yeah, there was a guy, a veterinarian, I think he'd look at you, maybe give you a dog pill or something. But other than that, we didn't have much going on up there doctor-wise. And so she said, you're way too sick. I'm taking you to the hospital. Took me to the ER. And they, oh my God, she drags me in there, and they look at me, throw me in a wheelchair, and the doctor's taking my temperature. He says, God, oh my heavens, look at these glands on you. And I, oof, and he says, man, you got something. I don't know what it is. This is before I think they called it Legionnaire's disease, but I think that's exactly what I had. I got it. I'm sure I got it off of cooling tower water. Happened within, whew, I'd say within maybe 20 hours of contact with that water. It was that quick. And he says, well, you need antibiotics. I'm giving you some pain pills. Here's some decongestant. Blah blah blah. Gave poor Molly a list like that long of prescriptions, and said, call me if he gets any worse. She says, aren't you going to keep him? She says, no, no. First off, he might be really contagious. No, take him home. He'll be okay at home. Keep him away from the kids and everything. And there you go. And if he isn't better, I'd say by Monday, then we'll admit him. But I think right now it's just, you should be okay. He says, I wouldn't do this to you otherwise, but honestly, you better just get him home. He's going to have to rest, sleep, wake him up to take those pills, and there you are. Legionnaire's disease. I'm almost certain. And again, it was it wasn't much. Legionnaire's disease happened either shortly thereafter or slightly before, and man, I'll tell you, oh, so sick. Oddly enough, I was ready to go to work, I think, on Tuesday. Yeah, go back. And I often thought, I said, man, there must have been something, because I was sitting like at the edge of the cooling tower eating a sandwich. And I may have even rinsed my hands in the cooling tower thinking everything was all right. It wasn't. Anyway, I'm just saying, when there's stuff going around, take heed. Because, man, you can get sick. You get some of those infections from those bacteria. Man, I'll tell you, those babies will do you. They're really rough. Anyway, I thought I'd say. Like I said, in a day or two, thanks to the doctors and all that, and quick thinking by my wife at that time, Molly, everything worked out. But man, tell you, whew. And it was one of those things where you know how you get sick and you're afraid you're going to die. I was to the point where I was afraid I wasn't going to die. Yeah, okay, just saying. Oh, good old Legionnaires. Legionnaires may have just broken onto the scene at that time, and maybe the doctor had read the news. I don't know. It's 45 years ago. Although it's funny, I can remember, I think it was a salami sandwich Molly made for me on homemade bread. Yeah, it was good. Just wish I'd used the sink to wash my hands. Anyway, friends, Lord's Prayer moment. What the heck? I think we should. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Oh, and remind us to wash our hands. Okay. I'll see you later, friends. Thank you, and God bless.